Imagine walking into a grand ballroom filled with golden chandeliers, polished marble floors, and a sea of elegantly dressed people, only to hear a stranger's voice say words that freeze your soul. "He looks like your lost son." Those words didn't just shatter the air that night. They shattered a millionaire's carefully built world. And what happened next left everyone speechless. If this story grips your heart even for a second, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay until the end, because the ending will stay with you long after the video ends. Jonathan Williams, a man of towering presence and wealth, had lived with a wound no amount of money could heal. Years ago, his only son, Daniel, disappeared in a tragic accident on a family vacation overseas. The boy was never found, and though everyone told Jonathan to move on, his heart clung to the faintest flicker of hope. His life became a cycle of meetings, deals, and quiet evenings staring at photographs of his son. The world envied his fortune, but they didn't see the emptiness it couldn't fill. It was on the night of his engagement party that fate decided to intervene. His fiancée, Alina, a woman admired for her elegance but loved by Jonathan for her heart, noticed a young man among the catering staff. He moved awkwardly, as if unsure of his place, but there was something hauntingly familiar about him. His eyes, a piercing shade of hazel, caught the light in a way Alina couldn't ignore. When Jonathan approached, she whispered, trembling, "He looks like your lost son." Jonathan turned, his chest tightening. For a moment, his breath caught in his throat. That same tilt of the head, that same hesitant smile, it was as though Daniel, now grown, stood before him. His heart warred with his mind. How could it be? His son was gone. But what if? The young man, named Michael, felt the weight of Jonathan's gaze. Confused and nervous, he looked down, clutching the tray of glasses in his hands. Jonathan excused himself from the guests and walked straight toward him. Every step echoed like thunder in the boy's chest. When Jonathan reached him, his voice cracked as he asked, "Where are you from, son?" Michael hesitated, his eyes darting between the powerful man and Alina, who was studying him with a strange mixture of awe and fear. I grew up in foster care," he said softly. "Never knew my real parents, just a name, Daniel, but they told me it wasn't mine. It was my father's." The room seemed to spin. Jonathan felt his knees weaken, the world narrowing to that one word, Daniel. His late wife had chosen that name for their boy. It wasn't common, not in the way Michael spoke it. The boy's voice trembled, but behind it was something achingly familiar. Jonathan grabbed Michael's shoulder, tears forming in his eyes. Alina gently intervened, sensing the storm rising. "Jonathan, we need answers, not guesses," she whispered. And so, they invited Michael to sit with them, away from the party's curious eyes. What followed was a painful, beautiful unraveling. Michael spoke of his childhood, of bouncing from home to home, never knowing why he had no parents, only clutching the scraps of a past too fragmented to make sense. Jonathan, in turn, recounted the day he lost his son in the chaos of that foreign shore. The panic, the endless search, the silence that followed. The pieces began to align in ways too sharp to ignore. Jonathan demanded a DNA test, his voice breaking between desperation and fear. Days felt like years as they waited. Elena, once simply his fiancée, became the bridge between the two men, gently guiding Jonathan to speak with Michael, to listen to him, to learn who he was beyond the shadow of what he might be. When the results finally arrived, Jonathan opened the envelope with shaking hands. Elena held Michael's, her touch calming his trembling fingers. The words inside confirmed what his heart already knew. Michael was Daniel, his son. The boy he thought he had lost forever had been living all along, hidden by fate's cruel twist. Jonathan broke down, sobbing like a child, clutching Michael in his arms. Years of pain poured out in that embrace. The millionaire, admired for his strength, was now just a father who had found his son. Michael cried too, not just for the family he never knew, but for the truth of belonging that filled the void in his soul. Elena wept silently, knowing she had witnessed a miracle. But their reunion wasn't without challenges. Michael struggled to step into Jonathan's world of wealth and expectations. The tabloids spread rumors, doubting his identity, accusing him of being a fraud. Jonathan's business rivals whispered that he was being manipulated. Even some of his own family members, distant cousins hungry for inheritance, tried to push Michael away. The boy who had spent his life surviving in silence now had to fight for his place in his own bloodline. Yet Jonathan stood by him, defiant against anyone who questioned. "This is my son," he declared to the world. Elena, too, became Michael's greatest supporter, teaching him not just how to fit into high society, but how to carry himself with dignity, no matter what others said. Together, they faced the storms of judgment, and slowly, Michael's presence reshaped Jonathan's home. Laughter returned to the halls. Empty frames were filled with new memories. The final moment that silenced every critic came one quiet afternoon when Jonathan introduced Michael to the grave of his late wife, Michael's mother. As they stood in the sunlight, Jonathan's voice trembled. "She prayed for this day, Daniel, that we would find you, that you would come back to us. And now, here you are." Michael knelt by the stone, tears dripping onto the earth, and whispered, "I'm home, Mom, I'm home." From that day forward, Jonathan no longer lived with emptiness. His fortune, once meaningless, now had a purpose: to give his son the life he deserved. And Michael, once a nameless boy in the shadows, had a family, a history, and a future. And so, what began with a whispered observation at a party, "He looks like your lost son," became a story of faith, loss, and the miracle of reunion. It's proof that even in life's darkest voids, hope can bloom again. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us of the power of family, forgiveness, and never giving up hope. And maybe, just maybe, someone you thought was lost will find their way back too.